Alright, what's up you guys? Welcome to another SHARKNEWZ episode, as today I wanted to continue off from the previous video that you recently had saw on the channel, which was my top 10 GIJOE Classified Wishlist for 2026. Now, granted that we know that the GIJOE team is usually like a year and a half, maybe two ahead of schedule, so there's a very good chance that a lot of these characters that I mentioned, or even you mentioned, have already been in production, which we won't see for another year or two, who knows. But it's always fun to do these kinds of videos, and I had a really great time trying to figure out which characters that I wanted. However, I took the liberty in going back on the video, and if you haven't seen that, this will piggyback off of that video. So thank you to everyone who shared their input. Thank you to everyone who shared all their top 10 favorite classified figures or GIJOE figures that they want in the collection. There was a lot of deep cuts, a lot of characters that I'm sure a lot of people may or may not know of, which I thought was very fascinating because I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. So what I ended up doing was I went back to that video, which I'll keep in the description below, and I read everyone's comment, and I wrote down all the names that you guys have, listed as your top 10. And from there, I basically wanted to see which top 10 figures were the most of consensus that people wanted in their collection. And so after compiling all of those names, I said, you know what, let's see which is in the top 10, like the number one figure that mostly everyone had suggested to have in the classified line. Now, do keep in mind that this list is only for my particular channel, the subscribers that are on my channel. This does not mean that everybody on other GIJOE channels would want the same figures, but for those who left comments on that particular video, this is basically compiling all those names, and yeah, so it was very fun to do, just to see all these different names. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at your top 10 favorite GIJOE figures to want in classified for 2026. There was a lot of names I had to exclude just because it just barely made the top 10 cut, and these are the ones that you guys voted for the most, in the sense of how many names were repeated multiple times on everyone's comment. So let's go ahead. So starting up first, as an honorable mention, we have none other than a character named Venomous Maximus. He was introduced in the Valor vs. Venom movie, and for those who haven't seen that GIJOE animated movie, it's awesome because Venomous Maximus was a creation, and he had DNA of different animals, and etc., etc. And I personally thought he looked more intimidating than Serpentor. So aside from him, because I'll keep the links to what he looks like on yojo.com in the description below. But another hard-hitting, this is kind of like a tie-in, I suppose, but another hard-hitting figure, which was Golobulus. Now, we know that Golobulus is pretty much 100% confirmed to come in the classified line, in the sense that even though the GIJOE team hasn't officially announced him, but with the release or the announcement of the Royal Guard figure, the Golobulus is literally the last figure to release in the Royal Guard, or in the Cobra Law group, just because there was only about 4 characters. Aside from Once a Man Cobra Commander, you had Nemesis Immortal Enforcer, Pythona, the Royal Guard, and then we had Golobulus. And Golobulus also came in a 3-pack with Nemesis Enforcer and a Royal Guard in the old GIJOE O-Ring line. So here's the thing. So I know a lot of people had mentioned this in the comments, and I had some good conversations with people about this figure. The thing about Golobulus is the GIJOE team cannot afford to mess this figure up. And the reason why I say this is because I know that they're going to do a pretty decent job with, and also all these images are from 3djoes.com. So thank you, Carson Maticus, for letting me use these photos. I appreciate it. The link will be in the description below. The thing about Golobulus is, in the animated movie, he had such rigorous detail that the GIJOE team cannot afford to mess this guy up, in the sense of his left arm that has the green scales and skins, are the crustacean style designs needs to be extremely well detailed with good shadings of different colored greens and light greens and some oranges and some red veins and vines popping out and shit. So it should look really awesome. And we know that the chest armor is fine, but he's mostly bare in the sense of there's not much else designed to him. So he needs to have a lot of musculature, some great definition within the body type, and it has to be pretty bulky for that matter because he was pretty jacked in the movie. And then not only does he have a bald head, but if you own the figure, you know that he has like these veins popping out of his head. The eye patch also has some great detail, even though you can't really tell from this image, but I want the facial expressions to at least come with two different head sculpts, one of him yelling, one of him looking straight forward. And otherwise, the whole crustacean, like chest piece and weapons, like I'm sure that will be fine. But the detail on this has to be superb. But the thing that really makes me nervous is the bottom portion of this figure, which is his tail. Um, I spoke about this in one of the comment sections with one of my subscribers, and we were talking about how the only way that this can happen is I don't think the GI Joe team will give us a well, I mean if the Hasbro Marvel Legends team can do that giant whatever octopus star green thing that just came out with the one eye, I don't even know its name because I'm not a Marvel Legends guy, but if they can create something like that with bendy wire, then I'm sure Golobulus hopefully should have a tail like that. But if they decide to skimp out and not do anything remotely close to having an articulated tail, as we see here in this O-ring particular version, then my only consensus is if it's a straightforward tail, or maybe it's an already pre-molded arch in the tail, since we know that Golobulus does come with his pod, the only way this could happen is from the torso piece, or like from the waist piece, you can actually remove the figure off. And I'm talking about the 6-inch classified version. You can unpeg the figure from its tail, and then you can peg it onto a pod piece, which will be probably better than folding the entire tail in order for it to fit in a pod. So that might be a little bit too complicated to do because there is that Marvel Legends figure with that character that's sitting on top of a tank. Maybe it can be something similar to that. So we'll see how that happens. Otherwise, this was a pretty good honorable mention. But again, we know that this will pretty much be confirmed to come at some point. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, coming in at number 10 is, of course, Airtight. Based on what we know so far in the sense of the G.I. Joe cartoon, it seems like they've practically made all of the cartoon or essential characters within that line, and I feel like it wouldn't be too surprising if Airtight is one of the last remaining figures. I don't know what the holdup is in the sense of he's pretty straightforward. There's really not much designing and detail to him in terms of his figure. You can just see he just has the regular all yellow jumpsuit with like the green and black torso piece, and then he's got the helmet on with the black mask on. So yeah, I mean the only way I can see this happening is if they really, really update this figure and make it look a little bit intense, because we've seen that the Blowtorch figure had a big, I don't want to say big, but it had like a drastic difference compared to what the original O-ring had. So maybe Airtight will be in that same category. So a lot of people are waiting for Airtight to complete their cartoon roster, so to speak. So he's probably one of the most last essential figures in the line because they've already given us mostly everyone that the cartoon offered roughly. So what's the holdup for Airtight? Nobody knows, but I'm hoping he'll be good, and I'm assuming removable heads, removable helmet, etc., and yeah, so maybe it's just gonna be good. Otherwise, if it's just a blown up version of this, then it'll be a little bit underwhelming. But hopefully, they do something different to this figure. So Airtight was in the top 10 at least. Coming in at number 9 is Cutter. Cutter is a very difficult choice because I know a lot of people want Cutter, but the thing is, Cutter is one of those characters that comes essentially with the vehicle, which is none other than the popular Whale. We know that the Whale is a ginormous vehicle, and will the G.I. Joe team give us a ginormous vehicle? I don't know. The Whale is intense in the sense of it fits a lot of characters or figures, and I don't know if the 6-inch scale would be beneficial for that unless they really skimp it down to removing certain components to make it like a like a smaller scale version of it. But that would be disastrous in my opinion. But other than that, if they don't do a whale and they just release Cutter himself, this version I'm sure is what a lot of people would want, because there is another version of Cutter where he's part of the drug elimination task force. I forgot the name of it, something like that. But he had like a darker color scheme, and I kind of prefer that version over this one. But this one, we'll just use this one. But the blue shirt looks great, the vest, all that, blue pants, and the boots, all that looks great. So very essential, but to me personally, these figures are incomplete if they don't come with their vehicles. It's very essential that they come with vehicles. So it wouldn't be too much of a deal breaker if it doesn't come with a whale, but to me personally, it would be pretty incomplete. So Cutter is a great addition, of course. So it's going to be a make or break deal, and I'm sure removable hat, removable vest, etc., etc. So not too much of a or should I say too much of a deep designing aspect to this character, because we've seen Shipwreck kind of be very similar to what he was in the old original version, but this one should be pretty good. Coming in at number 8 is Thrasher. Thrasher is another pretty cool looking character. I love that hair sculpt. I think that the G.I. Joe team can really perfect this character, because this kind of looks right up Lenny's alley in the sense of giving us that armor torso piece with the green under ripped shirt, and then of course he's got like the shin guards and then the knee pads and then all the blacks and grays, which doesn't seem too intense, but detail wise, if it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's similar to Crystal Ball, but it has that vibe to it where if Crystal Ball had like such a great upgrade, I think Thrasher can too, especially with the green and black hair. So, and the big highlight for Thrasher is the Thunder Machine, and I assume the Thunder Machine will be coming at some point because that's what a lot of collectors want. It's a very popular vehicle. I personally am not too much of a fan of the Thunder Machine just because I don't really care for it, but in the sense of the Dreadnoks completing characters and just the roster, then this would definitely be beneficial. Now, I know a lot of people also wanted Xenia in their collection as well, but she didn't make the cut just because she didn't get enough votes to make it onto this list. Otherwise, this would be great to complete like the Dreadnoks, and I'm sure the G.I. Joe team will definitely do it. I mean, overall head sculpt looks great. The hair piece and again spikes on the shoulder pads or the armor piece looks great. And yeah, I mean, otherwise, I think the G.I. Joe team can really knock this one out of the park if they do. I mean, hopefully they will, but we'll see. All right, for this next segment is going to be a little bit different because I did not use photos for these because I kind of want to wait and see what's going to happen with these. But coming in at number 7, 6, and 5, we have Dawn Moreno, aka the female Snake Eyes. Now, I know that Snake Eyes has practically exhausted a lot of collectors in this classified line because we've got so many Snake Eyes, but a female Snake Eyes would be pretty awesome to have in the collection. She does look really badass. Now, how do I explain this? Her outfit and design would be very awesome to have in the collection, just because like we've seen characters like Jinx or even Akiko from the G.I. Joe movie. So Dawn Moreno is basically very Snake Eyes-esque, but just, female. So I think she would be a welcoming addition into the line. Would they ever do it? I don't know, but I think Larry Hama was very for having this figure and kind of tossed in his storyline into it. So I think it's cool to see this character come to life. Then we have Kwinn. Kwinn is one of those characters that I assumed would have been part of the Haslab Snowcat, but it obviously went a different direction. And Kwinn was introduced in the second issue of the G.I. Joe Marvel comics, I think. Second, third, I don't remember. It was one of the in there. But anyways, the thing about Kwinn is he has that vibe where a lot of people were saying he's either a good guy or he's like not necessarily a villain, but he's kind of like in that balance of good and bad, I suppose. And in the comics, he basically beat the shit out of like the 5 recruits that were the 5 Joes that were trying to get a hold of him, and he basically outsmarted all of them. Kwinn has like a very nice structure to him, very bulky, beefy looking character. kind of like an Eskimo style, but he's got like the fur coat and then it's got the skull necklace and then I believe like the brown pants and the red jacket. Kind of similar to like October Guard style, but a little bit different. But overall, I think Kwinn would be a great addition into the line as well. Um, he's more of a deep cut for those people who know about Kwinn, but if they don't know him, they might pass on him. So maybe the GI Joe team is just trying to figure out where to essentially put Kwinn in this line because it might be a peg warmer, but I don't know. And then coming in at number 5, we have Bombstrike, who I believe was in a 2-pack with Crocmaster, but she didn't come until way later in the line. I think it was Valor versus Venom, or I don't remember. I think it was later on in the other 2-packs, but anyways, my mind is slipping. But Bombstrike is a pretty good looking character. She kind of has like that green aesthetic that says G.I. Joe throughout her chest, and with the green and blonde hair. So yeah, I mean, otherwise, Bombstrike is nice. You can never have too many females in the classified line. And with the cover girl that just came out with the blonde hair, I feel like Bombstrike might not be too far away because she does share a little bit similar style traits to that cover girl that they just released. Not exactly, but in terms of design or in terms of aesthetic, it might be a little bit similar. So they could mix and match here and there to give us a Bombstrike. And I know that they did re-release her later, a few years later after that, but the one I'm talking about is the one with Crocmaster in the 2-pack. So Bombstrike is definitely a very welcoming addition. I know they're going to do a great job with her, so no complaints there. All right, so now going back to the screen here, coming in at number 4, we have the Iron Grenadier Destro. We know that the G.I. Joe team has practically made the Iron Grenadier subgroup most of the characters, not even all of them, like only 4, I think. So we have Darklon, the Iron Grenadier, we got Metalhead, and I'm forgetting probably one more, but the Iron Grenadier Bat. So with the Iron Grenadier Destro, one of those things is he has to come with a despoiler. If he doesn't, then I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. Otherwise, it's gonna be very interesting to see him without it. Otherwise, we know that they have a gold-plated Destro from the Pimp Daddy Destro character. We need a re-release of that gold dome. He's got the spikes on the left shoulder. He's got the red cape, and then I love this outfit with the sword, etc., etc. The black outfit of all Destro. It's gonna look fantastic. I know it's gonna be. They should do a really, really great job with this one. This is a very hard-hitting character, very pivotal to have in the G.I. Joe collection. So to not give us an Iron Grenadier Destro is going to be sad, but I kind of figured that if they were consistent with the theme of Iron Grenadiers, that maybe at one of the Comic-Cons that they would have Iron Grenadier Destro with the despoiler as an exclusive, but that didn't come to life. So it would kind of be disappointing if he didn't come with the vehicle, but if he does, that would be, better. So again, we already have the molds for Destro. We already have the gold-plated head sculpts for Destro. It's just now we have to combine all those together and give us this new version with a red cape. And yeah, it shouldn't be too far behind. But if they already have the Iron Grenadier subline or subteam, then I'm sure it's coming at some point. Coming in at number 3, we have Grand Slam. This is kind of one of those figures where we know it's going to happen. Grand Slam is one of the, I believe, the last remaining characters aside from Flash, which has been a listing but hasn't been officially confirmed yet. So with Flash and Grand Slam being the last 2 remaining characters, because Zap has recently just been announced. So yeah, I mean, original 13, we know a lot of you are big fans of the original 13 G.I. Joe roster. So this is very essential. We know that they're going to spread this out a little bit further in between because, again, like 2 more characters left. So wouldn't put it past them to give us a Grand Slam anyways. But otherwise, very similar costume or very similar outfit design to other previous Joe characters. So they already have a lot of, even Lenny slipped, I believe, when he was talking about Glenda, the Haslab Glenda from Dragonfly, that a lot of the accessories are also can be used for Grand Slam. So I'm sure that maybe he's on the way with the reuse of Glenda accessories, and we've seen a lot of the torso pieces and the padding and stuff from other figures, so shouldn't be a hard one to make, but otherwise a welcoming addition to complete the original 13 that a lot of you definitely want to accomplish at some point. So this is kind of a no-brainer to me personally. Coming in at number 2, of course, is the one and only Hooded Cobra Commander. This, I mean, what can we say about this figure? Everybody wants it. We all want it. We don't know what the hell is going on. We know the reasons why they're not doing it. Will we ever get a Hooded Cobra Commander? I don't know. This is just one of those mysteries, man. It's just like, come on, just give us. If the Marvel Legends team is doing it, then the G.I. Joe team has, they know that this will sell like hotcakes, but sensitive issues, etc., etc. I won't dive deep into it, but we've seen Fresh Monkey Fiction with their Monster Force figures giving us a Hooded Cobra Commander alternate head sculpt. Therefore, I don't know if the pin or the joint or the pegs, the ball, or what do you call it, the headpiece will snap onto the torso of original Cobra Commander, and the color blues might not be in unison, but this would be a great figure to have in the collection. So cannot wait to have. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, what can I say? This is definitely the top 2 figure because it's Hooded Cobra Commander. What more can you say? It is what it is. I mean, there's really not much to say other than it's a very essential and want-needing character. And last but not least, we have Spearhead and Max at number 1. I'm very surprised that this was, at least in my comment section, that this was the most figure that everybody wanted. So this one caught me by surprise. Otherwise, Spearhead and Max we know can be done very easily. You reuse the Sergeant Slaughter legs from the Mercer 2-pack, easy enough to reuse someone's brown boots. The ammo and then the torso piece could be sculpted new, but we can use those the arm pieces with someone else. Head sculpt can definitely be new, but weapons and the backpack aside, we know that the G.I. Joe team has already created a bunch of animals for Snake Eyes, Law and Order, and Mutton Junkyard, so the Bobcat wouldn't be too far away from being released with Spearhead. So I think the tooling is probably already there. Color scheme, I don't think that the G.I. Joe team would make it too vibrant like this figure is, but they might just mute it down to a duller version, which will be unfortunate, but it is what it is. Otherwise, backpack, helmet, all that, etc., fine. The knife or machete, etc., etc., should be a good looking figure. But again, I'm very surprised that this was, in my comment sections, the number 1 choice that a lot of you wanted. So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, that was the top 10 picks of your wish list. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this list. Maybe I'll do another one in the future, but for now, this was pretty fun to do. Thank you for sharing all your input, and we'll see in 2026 if any of these figures will come out. So once again, thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode.